In this video, I wanted to read a book that I wrote a couple years ago. The book is called Betterment, 36 Ways to Become a Better Claims Adjuster. While the topic is about claims handling, the skills and lessons are easily transferable to anyone working in customer service. I won't read the entire book, but just a selected passage or passages, and we'll add timestamps in the description of the video. Introduction. Being average is not good enough. We all strive to do better, to be better. No one wakes up in the morning and expects to have an average day. This book is intended for the insurance professional, claim adjuster, insurance agent, trainer, or supervisor who is looking to better themselves or help others. It is the book I wish I read early on as a claims adjuster. Claim representatives who are new to the industry and are looking for help to navigate through the sea of endless work and difficult customers will find the text practical. I also hope that experienced adjusters can find the book useful by discovering or rediscovering a few golden nuggets. I don't pretend to be the perfect adjuster. I don't know anybody who is, but rather as a person who has acquired this information through observation, research, application, training, and personally handling thousands upon thousands of claims. There are no quick fixes, but you do have the ability to make a decision today and change your perspective and habits. And if you're reading this text, then I assume you're on your way. Do it now. We have a strategic plan. It's called Doing Things. Herb Kelleher. Develop a sense of urgency and a bias for action. Don't spend too much time analyzing what to do or how to do something. Have you ever noticed when we are faced with a deadline, we tend to get an enormous amount of work done quickly? Of course, don't put your work aside until the last minute, but develop the mindset that to work at a task with a sense of urgency. Not everything needs to be 100% perfect. If you're writing a note in your system or an email to a coworker, it's okay to use shorthand or improper punctuation. The point is to get a message across in the most efficient manner. If you're writing a letter to an attorney, your manager, however, then you should put the time and effort to make it professional. Your aim is to work harder at the important stuff, not the low-value tasks. And when you move with a purpose, as they say in the Army, or as NCAA basketball coach John Wooden likes to say, act quickly, but do not rush. If it is a task that can be done quickly, take care of it immediately. If it's a larger task that will require more time and effort, break it down into smaller parts and set aside a time to tackle it. Chapter 2, Accept Responsibility. Circumstances don't make the man. They only reveal him to himself. Attempt to take responsibility for your job and your actions. As an adjuster, you're the face or voice of the company. When the customer submits a claim, it is one of the few times they interact with their insurance company. What you say or do will leave an impression on them. They may complain to you about the home music or another employee or how their premiums are too high, but resist the urge to become defensive. Better let go of the emotion. Acknowledge the customer's complaint and go about helping them if you can. And don't forget to offer a sincere apology if you think their complaint is legitimate. There's no need to argue with the customer. Instead, see if you can agree with what they are saying. You may be surprised and find that there is some truth to what they are relaying to you. If you make a mistake, admit it and move on. Learn from your mistakes and remember to set the proper expectations with the customer in the future. Chapter 3, Passing the Buck. The best job goes to the person who can get it done without passing the buck or coming back with excuses. Napoleon Hill. I see this happen all too often. The attitude of, it's not my job. However, if an issue or task comes across your desk, follow this rule. If it takes you the same amount of time to transfer the call or write an email to someone else, than it would have if you just made the decision in the first place, or handle the call yourself, or process that piece of mail. Then do it yourself and don't pass the buck. Take ownership of the problem and resolve it for the customer or team. If you're not trained or don't have the ability to handle the call, then obviously defer it to the person who can. But be a team player without expecting any reward. I know of adjusters that will take the time to walk up 2 flights of stairs and talk to you in person, or write a 2-page email about something they could have easily done themselves. It's a waste of time. Make a decision and do it yourself. Your customers and your coworkers will thank you for it. Prioritize. The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook. William James. After you have made a to-do list, prioritize your list into tiers or levels of importance. Everything is important, but some things are more important than others. In any job, there is a high demand for your time. Our profession is no exception. You'll be given more work than you can typically handle, but if you prioritize your work, it becomes manageable. For example, a priority 3 item should not come before a priority 2 item. And a priority 2 item obviously should not be done before a priority 1 item. Let's say a customer and a vendor both leave you a message at the same time. Then the policyholder's call should be returned first. Working a new claim that was assigned to you yesterday by an insured is more important than calling back a vendor who left you a voice message today. This should be done with all aspects of your work: your mail, your voicemail, your new work, your emails, your reminders, or any additional projects. If you're uncertain as to what is important, seek the advice of a senior employee or your supervisor or someone that you trust. Too often we spend time doing low value activities, which is not the best use of your time. 8, focus. Hard work is the accumulation of the easy things you didn't do when you should have. John Maxwell. While at work, put in the effort. Push yourself. Make it a point to put in the maximum effort. Do not waste time. Don't allow yourself to be easily distracted. It is the quality of time spent at work and the quantity of time spent at home that is important. Don't waste your time checking social media, walking around the office to gossip. There's a time and place for it. But if you're constantly behind or feeling overwhelmed at work, be honest with yourself and see if this is an issue for you. Great adjusters get all their work done, and then they help their coworkers and take time to surf the internet. Sometimes putting in an extra hour before or after your normal schedule may increase your productivity, but do not overdo this or use it as a crutch. 9, empathic understanding. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. William James. Empathy is the ability to understand or feel from the other person's perspective. In other words, to put yourself in another person's position. Empathy is different from sympathy because you're not simply feeling sorry for the other, but fully understanding and caring about another's predicament. As an adjuster, we become desensitized over time. Resist apathy and attempt to listen and understand what your customers are going through. Try to recognize their problems and offer any help you can provide them. Not only is it part of your job, but it's the right thing to do. 13, mental attitude. The greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes. An important aspect in life will depend on your outlook. If you assume the world is a bad place, then your personality will likely reflect that. On the other hand, if you believe people are innately good, then your attitude will reflect that as well. It'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Let's face it, no one wants to be around a person who is always negative or bringing you down. You know the feeling when you're on top of the world because everything is going right? Think how positive and nice to people you are. But when you're having a bad day, you don't want to talk to, you don't want people to talk, excuse me, you don't want to talk to people. You're more abrasive, and this seems to have a compounding effect. Yet we have a choice to alter our moods. Instead of allowing the environment around us to dictate how we should feel or behave. Pastor Charles R. Swindoll explains that attitude is more important than your history, education, or money. It is more important than the circumstances, than failure, than success, than what other people think or say or do. I am convinced that life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. Number 16, the 80-20 rule. Resist the urge to clear up small things first. Brian Tracy. Also known as the Pareto principle, named after the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. Generally speaking, the rule suggests that 80% of your sales come from 20% of your customers. Put another way, 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. If you can apply this by identifying those 20% activities that yield 80% of the results, or identify 20% of the claims that will require 80% of your time and try to get ahead of them. Don't get lost in work or tasks that only yield minimal results. If you're unsure of what is important, ask a supervisor. But as an adjuster, if you work on your new claims and always answer your phone, it will yield you 80% of your results. Addressing non-urgent email or mail, reminders, or voicemail will produce poor results. Understand this rule and apply it to all aspects of your job, and you'll be greatly rewarded. If there's one thing you take from this book, remember this one. Number 19, 10,000 hours. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Bill Gates. Yes, there appears to be a magic number in order to achieve a certain skill level in any field or discipline. This is true of chess and soccer, gymnastics, martial arts, writing, etc. The difference between an average performer and an exceptional one is the amount of dedicated hours spent practicing. Research has found that it takes approximately 10,000 hours for the brain to fully understand all the nuances required to obtain mastery over a given field or subject. This means that you need to have patience to accumulate the necessary practice and reference experience to master your discipline. To think that after 6 months at your job, you already know everything there is to know about insurance or any other field for that matter is a mistake. For the average person, it will take approximately 5 years to hit 10,000 hours. Think long term and go to work on the skills you desire, you desire to be. "21, be a problem solver. Your problem-solving skills will always be needed because people always have problems." John Maxwell. One of your main purposes is to solve the customer's problems after an accident. The majority of people have not had the experience of filing a claim and dealing with the headaches associated with it. As an adjuster, you are in a unique position to facilitate the matter for them. You are a consultant guiding the claimant through a sea of issues that they create or have created for them, or have been created for them. In essence, they are looking towards you to break down those barriers. Be sympathetic and creative when solving problems. Try to understand the person's dilemma through their lens, not yours. But being creative is harder to unravel. While we are all creative as children, going through adulthood changes us. Just having your boss tell you to think outside the box is not good enough. One way to counter this is to One way to counter this has been to experiment with different situations. And in the end, having experience handling a number of different situations and customers will allow you to find novel ways to solve new problems. Be patient. The ideas will come in time if you're willing to learn. 22, think win-win. Win-win is a belief in the third alternative. It's not your way or my way. It's a better way. Stephen Covey. In claims, we often have the mentality that it is us versus them. The public has the same perception of the insurance industry, a win-lose approach, an adversarial process, us versus them. However, this does not have to be the case. As a fellow coworker likes to say, you can catch more bees with honey. This isn't just about being nice. Thinking win-win is about cooperation, fairness, and mutual benefit. In our environment, it also means finding the best possible solution for both the customer and the company. There are different ways to please the customer or your employer, but it takes empathy, critical thinking, and confidence to get it done. For example, arguing with the customer over 1 day of rental rarely makes much sense. You have to take into consideration the circumstances. The customer's work schedule, lifestyle, and whether they receive prior notice are all relevant to your decision making. Similar, when dealing with a third-party claimant or other carrier, their circumstances will guide you to your decision making. 23, be a good listener. People want to be listened to, respected, and understood. John Maxwell. I was on a call recently with a project manager of a third-party vendor. On this call were people from his staff and some of my fellow coworkers. The other project manager, while he meant well and was very knowledgeable, he kept interrupting my coworkers and his own staff. It was insulting to everybody on the call. The constant interruption made it difficult to get our points across or come to a consensus. It made everyone on the phone uncomfortable, and it made communicating with each other that much harder. A better strategy would have been to allow the other person to complete their sentence or train of thought, and at the end of the communication, repeat or affirm what the speaker said to fully grasp their message. This shows respect to the other person, and it shows that you are actively listening instead of just waiting for your turn to speak. Don't try to anticipate what the other person will say. Stay focused on the conversation and avoid getting upset or angry when you disagree. Be genuinely vested in what the other person has to say. 24, teamwork. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. Helen Keller. Teamwork is what leaders, business people, and sports teams know is the differentiating factor. No sports team has won championships because of a single player. No business is operated by a single worker, and no political movement or military campaign has been won by one person. What we fail to realize is the interconnectedness of it all. A claims department, for example, needs an underwriting, HR, and accounting department. Further, a claims department could not function without a subrogation, customer service, or a total loss unit. However your company divides the work, know that your job is part of a larger piece of the puzzle. With this in mind, try to understand how valuable your role is to other departments and how you fit in the greater scheme of things. If you underperform, you're not only hurting your immediate team, but the larger operation of the company too. At a micro level, your team members rely heavily on you. Not showing up to work or taking responsibility for your own job distributes more work and pressure on your own teammates. 26, the 70-70-70 rule. In any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing is the wrong thing. And the worst thing you can do is nothing. Theodore Roosevelt. United States Marines believe in making decisions when A, you have 70% of the information, B, have done 70% of the analysis, And C, feel 70% confident. There are some very bright people who get paralyzed when it comes to making decisions. If it's good enough for the Marines, then I think it's acceptable standard for civilians. Recall that claim adjusting deals with civil matters, not criminal. Therefore, the burden of proof is different in our environment. We do not need proof. We do not need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, but by the preponderance of the evidence, which means that it is more probable than not that a claim is true or accurate based on the evidence. We all know that one person who's extremely bright but is too stuck in their head. While he has the ability to analyze the issues and break down all the possible scenarios and is better than anyone else, yet when making a decision, he or she gets paralyzed. Because of the volume of work that we see as adjusters, decision-making has to be almost reflective. 27, the compound effect. One of the benefits of improving your skills is the job becomes easier. It is similar to the compound interest. The more money you have in your savings account, the more money you will accumulate because of the compound effect. Once you understand the principles of customer service and time management, handling claims can be easy and rewarding. You're no longer stressed by the volume of work and tasks that need to be done every day, and the customer complaints no longer bother you. You rise above it all, and you get into a groove. When you're current on mail, email, voicemail, you can plan your day better and provide better service. When a customer leaves a message, you're able to call them back quickly. When you get a new claim, when a new claim gets reported, you're able to work on the claim within 2 hours instead of 2 days. The customer's expectations are exceeded, they're blown away by the level of service, and in turn are happier and easier to communicate with. Plus, this is when you can take on additional projects or work by voluntarily helping your coworkers or asking your supervisor for special projects. And don't worry, when you provide quality service and high productivity, everyone notices. 29, no false hopes. Often we hate to give people bad news because we're afraid of the backlash. Everyone wants to be liked, and no one wants to be screamed at because you found them at fault. Instead, we tend to string people along or give them false hopes and pray that they will get the underlying message. But when you mislead or delay the inevitable, it only leads to more dissatisfaction. In the end, the person feels betrayed by your actions. You gave them the hope of turning out in their favor, but in reality, it was not possible. The best strategy is to set realistic expectations. If you believe someone's at fault or there's a small probability of a favorable outcome, you should tell them as soon as possible. If you don't believe that there will be coverage for the claim, then tell them immediately. Conversely, if you don't know, it is okay to say that you don't know and you'll research the matter and get back to them. Also, if you tell someone you will call them back at a certain time and date, then do it. Understand the customer's expectations are what the customer's expectations are and manage them so you're able to meet them. Not everyone has the same standards. Undersell and overdeliver. 31, job satisfaction. The secret of happiness is not doing what one likes, but in liking what one does. We all want to be happy. However, happiness is a fleeting moment. We have this belief that if we just land that promotion or find that perfect job, it will solve most of our problems. Or if we got paid more money, we will be satisfied with what we do. I found this not to be the case. Yes, promotions and recognition, more income and rewarding job are important to your self-esteem. It may even bring you some satisfaction, but it's only temporary. What I found to be more lasting is finding aspects of your job that you do enjoy and finding the positive in any situation. Accept what is and appreciate what you have while you work towards your next goal. But understand the grass is never greener. It's our perception that we need to change. Accumulating material things will not bring us everlasting happiness. It is being happy with ourselves first, putting our max effort in our endeavors, and reframing our outlook that will bring us closer to happiness. 33, your ego. The hardest part of this job is controlling our emotions and putting aside your ego. This is true of life in general. We are emotional creatures. When someone attacks us, it is easy to take offense or react in kind. And when someone challenges your intelligence or integrity, it is easy to get defensive and let your ego take over. What helps is not to take things so personal. Learn to let go. The attack may not be against you. It may be against the company, or the customer may be projecting circumstances from their own lives. I've often found that difficult customers are really just going through a rough time, either some financial or family crisis, and their accident is the event that pushes them over the edge. Your, your response should be more patient. Don't expect everyone to behave or act to your own standards. Lower them for others and increase them for yourself. Allow others to be right sometimes. There's no need to always feel to feed into your ego. Defending your position takes a large amount of effort and in turn, distance others. Having a logical argument with someone when someone is emotional is also a losing battle. Plus, no one has ever thanked me for correcting them when they were wrong. You probably noticed the same thing. 35, be smart, not smug. Being egotistic often stifles productivity and destroys relationships. It alienates your colleagues and managers, and when it comes time for promotions or merit increases, you may get passed over. No one likes to be around a person who has the air of superiority or makes others feel insecure or inferior. You should make it your task to lift those around you by being positive and adding value, and not by taking it away. Don't be condescending to your coworkers or customers. The mindset will corrupt your creativity and make you feel less productive. Monitor yourself in situations when this happens and attempt to reduce the frequency. Be confident, not arrogant. That's the difference. No one likes a person who thinks they are better than everyone else or someone who's always has to be right. It's taxing to be around this type of person. If you have a special skill or believe you're right, there's always a way to present your case. Be intelligent enough to recognize when you are wrong or you may not have the best answer. Or be aware when you may need to approach the situation in a delicate manner. Closing. The lessons contained are mostly focused on your soft skills. Technical skills such as multitasking and computer applications are necessary, but secondary. If you're able to deal with upset customers, manage your time and workload, and foster a cooperative environment, your technical skills can take a backseat for the moment. In the end, your goal should be to be better than you were yesterday and make progress on your goals, whether it's a job, promotion, or changing departments, or becoming a manager. A great manager, in my mind, is a person who's sincere and wants the best for the team and the customer, and who is able to balance the interest of the two parties. A person of integrity is valued within the company, has high standards, but at the same time understands the possible struggle of others, and he puts the interest of others before his own. He serves as a mentor to those who seek his time and company, and is a passionate learner who strives for constant improvement. Excellence is not a singular habit. It's not a singular act, but a habit. You are what you are repeatedly do. Thank you.